It's just that different time periods are guided by different emotions. And I think we are in a time period that's like we said, oh, love is the greatest thing, obviously, but it's like it's not gonna be that forever. And it didn't used to be that. Like when in ancient Greece they had a bunch of different gods. One of them was love, but love was just one of the gods or goddesses among many different ones that they worshiped. It's not like they said love was the greatest thing. And I can't remember if I said this or not, but like bubonic plague Europe, like there weren't, I don't think that time period was guided by love. It's like everybody was dying from disease. Like they weren't looking for their Prince Charming, everything wasn't a love story for them. It wasn't going to work out like everything was a story, but that's part of the whole thing is that we're so obsessed with, we're focusing on a love story, but Nicholas Sparks really thrives in this time period because he capitalizes on a formula that he creates to make romance novels that'll be popular, because to make something that popular, it has to be manufactured, formulated. So he just capitalizes on the like female emotions of the time period the same way the music industry capitalizes on. Same way that they capitalize on people's emotions through the music that they formulate. Like Nicholas Sparks does that for romance, but Grey's Anatomy is just all about picturing love a certain way, that it's like romantic, like the romance side of love, or that we're stuck thinking that there's a perfect ending to love because love is perfect. But that's what you do when you make love perfect. But that's the lie that we believe in, is that love is perfect. Because like that's where you don't want to get into that territory, but that's what we do or have done. Maybe we're kind of evolving past it a little bit, that we say love has to be perfect, but like people over the last 40 years have made love a perfect thing because love is the greatest emotion, or it's like the standard as far as emotion or feeling is concerned. So it has to be, it's the greatest thing possible. We make it a god, love. We make it above everything. So it's like this kind of perfect thing where we think that it can be perfect, and that leads us to think we can have perfectly romantic relationships or perfect friendships, or like where love is always there, or like love is meant to be perfect, when it isn't in any respect, really. It's as relative as any other emotion is love, because you don't have a perfect relationship with anybody, but we're finally outlining that in society, really, where it's like, but if you live in a time period where the guiding ideology is love, that's where you try to make your story perfect. And like that's a falseness that you have to deal with, is that trying to make your story perfect when that isn't possible, and then that gives you anxiety. It gives a society anxiety if there's living under that their love has to be perfect, but people think that it can be, or that that's a possibility, because TVs and movies, like media of the time period, guides you in that direction to tell you that love can be perfect, but it's just a lie, and it's a lie. And then people that would say that it's not a lie, love can be perfect, would just call anybody that said that to be too cynical, because cynicism isn't an accepted or appreciated emotion or mentality in society. As long as love dominates things, then cynicism is maligned. And just think about how much cynicism is maligned in our society, because it's not acceptable. But like love, so those people that think love can be perfect, they would just attack anybody who said love isn't perfect and say that they were cynical, or they would say that they didn't experience enough love, and so that's why they have a negative view of it, or say that life can't play out that way, when in reality it's just like you're treating love like it's I can't remember if I said this before, but like people that would treat love perfectly, it'd be the same as the way that anybody treats a religion perfectly, or say that communism is perfect. Like people who believe in communism's healing powers, because there's people that are out there that are like, why doesn't everybody believe communism? Because like communism is a valid theory, and like those people that say that communism would be good for us if it was done the right way, but it isn't. It isn't done the right way, and so we haven't experienced the way that communism is supposed to be, because anybody that just is against communism, anybody who's against communism doesn't understand what communism is. But like people do that with love towards people that would say that love isn't perfect. They would be like, well, you just don't understand what love is, because if you knew love, then it would be perfect. Like, it's that lie just over and over again. But for any religion that you're a part of will be like, well, you don't understand my set of beliefs. If you really understood it, you would understand it would be perfect for your life, because it's the perfect answer. Like, people do that about love only because people don't see around that it's just a guiding ideology for the time period. And yeah, so you have to be like cynical to be, oh, fuck love, you know. So you have to be cynical enough to be like, oh, I don't like it, fuck that thing. But and here's what I wanted to run by you. Here's what I wanted. Do you know what I want? Do you know what I want? Here's what I want. Here's what I wanted to say to you. And the following is what I wanted to say on this. But it's just me. It's just me here. This isn't for anybody. This is just for me. It's just for me that I say it. What I wanted to say is that you have to look on the other side of the 5 love languages to establish the 5 hate languages. This is an important part of it, that people do themselves a disservice by not recognizing the hate languages, because it's not like you're not going to have the 5 love languages and have no other side of that. You think that you're just living in a world where love can be perfect, where it's like, oh, we all love so much, that love, because that's why it's difficult to escape love, because of course you love. That's what it already is. If you're thinking about love, or you're related to it, you're like coinciding with love, or you're tangential to it in any way, you are bordering on love, then it's like you're getting wind of the feeling that love is loving. And so you love, so you can't say that you hate it, of course. That's why it's hard to get around the ideology, why everybody's trapped by it, because you love, of course, because you can't say that you hate love but you can say that you hate love, because whatever is the opposite of love, I guess you could call it fear, but just say that hate is the opposite of love, then that's the same thing as love. It's just the other side of it. It's just, if you don't allow hate, well, there's people that hate, and there's people that hate, like, it's just that you don't get to decide that everybody in the world has a positive interpretation of love, because there's plenty of people out there that don't have a positive interpretation of it. And like, they have a negative interpretation, and so then you say, oh, those people just didn't receive love if they have a negative interpretation, because they just don't know what it's like. And like, yeah, that's true, but it's also true that for all of eternity there will be people who live their entire life with a negative interpretation of it. But it's just that there is inevitably people who have a negative interpretation on love, so it's not like everybody loves the feeling of loving necessarily. But let me establish for you the 5 hate languages, because it's an important stepping stone to you understanding what love is. Because you can't tell me that you have the 5 love languages, that's the end of the story, as if there's no negative. You're just living in a dream world. You're living in a utopia where everyone gives love and they all receive love. And the thing is, like, love, receive, give love. If you give love, you're not a natural receiver of love, in my opinion. So it's not like you get to have both of them and that they both have the same amount of weight for you. If you give love, there are people that are better at receiving love. There are people that are better at giving love. Sometimes you are only someone who receives love. Sometimes you're only a receiver. That's why they have wide receivers. And the wide receivers, and they have quarterbacks. Receivers receive it, you know? That's why they're so emotional all the time. Like Des Bryant, Terrell Owens, Chad Johnson, all of them are way too emotional. That's because all they do is receive. But maybe they're just a receiving person. That's why they became a wide receiver anyway. And so you give love or you receive love. People receive love, give love. And if you are one of those, I think it would, like, if you're like, you might be majority receiving love, and then that means that you are minority giving love. I would argue that if you're just one or the other majority, like you could be 67% a receiving of love kind of person, and then that automatically makes you 33% giving of love person. But that's the way that it works. You don't have a giving love language and a receiving love language. You only get one of them because you're only good enough at one of those two things. Like, so you might have both of them, but the other one should be the inverse. It's just like, you're not, with these 5 love languages, you're not considering the inverse of, like, what is the negative side of it. Either you talk about the negative side of it in terms of that if you're a receiver, then you're a giver of the negative or the evil side of it, or you just you just need to bring up the other side of it anyway. And so, like, I have a beef with the 5 love languages. Doesn't mean that they're not true, you know? There's, like, of course there's categories, like, oh, you fall into the category, you're more this kind of love than another love, whatever. But the 5 hate languages are isolation, then that's the opposite of quality time. Isolation, thievery, acts of violence, isolation, thievery, acts of violence, words of discouragement, and sabotage. And so you have to figure out what your hate language is, because you have one of them. If you have a love language, you have a hate language. You don't get to argue that people are good all the time. So this also needs to be established. Sorry that I'm getting so defensive about it. Maybe I'm just more of a hating. Like, you might be more hating. What if you like your hate languages more than your love languages? I don't know. But I would say that my hate language is words of discouragement, which might mean that my love language is words of encouragement, because I like to be encouraged. I just deal in words, actually. I like words better. So probably words of encouragement is my love language. But the thing is, it's hard for me to arrive at that conclusion, because I don't like to give words of encouragement. I just like to receive them. Yeah, no, I'm not good at giving words of encouragement. I'm good at receiving them. I like to give words of discouragement, if anything. But the reason that's my hate language, because acts of violence, I'm not that guy. I can't make it there. I'm not a violent actor. Sabotage, I don't like dishonesty. I really don't like, I'm not a fan of lying and dishonesty. I'm not part of like sabotage or betrayal. And sabotage is the opposite of acts of service. Yeah, like acts of violence. And what are the other two? Isolation. Sure, I like isolation, but not enough. I like being around people too much. I'm not isolating isn't the thing I like, because your hate language is the thing that if you could make it there, if like you could choose one of these, which one do you enjoy? It's the one you enjoy to do. I don't enjoy isolation. I don't enjoy acts of violence. I don't enjoy sabotage, and I don't enjoy thievery. Like, it's just not, it's not in me. I'm not much of a thief. Definitely words of discouragement. Like, I would love to ridicule and criticize people endlessly if I could. I mean, usually I don't. It would be enjoyable to be, but only if you're somebody who would find it not condescending, but just having fun. Not condescending. I don't enjoy condescension, but having fun. Yeah, sure. I would love to ridicule people, because I don't like what people try to be. It's fun to ridicule people. That's my hate language. So find your hate language. Yeah, but you ever just look for a sign? Like you're looking for something? Like you're in a mood? Like, being in a mood is like what you have to do to go towards love. You have to be in more of a mood. Sometimes. Or it's just about the mood. That's all it is. It's like, are you in the mood? Because if it's always about love... No. If you're just cynical, then you could tell yourself that nobody cares about anything that you do. That's what you'd be able to do if you were cynical. Like, love doesn't work like that, because, well, it doesn't work like that because you always have to be wondering about what you're always wondering about the relationship. If it's love, you're always wondering if you have to be in a mood. That's not what moods are for. Moods, you don't be in a mood. You're already doing the mood all the time. Your moods already happen. You don't have to be one of them, because it's not anything that's just a word that is a construct that then is in front of you all the time. You have to be in a mood. Like romance. If love is about romance, being in a mood, why do you need to be in a mood? I don't get that. You can already have the mood. The moods are already happening. Always. So it's like, maybe you should try to be more cynical, because being cynical is better. It's a word for dog-like behavior, according to what it's translated from. Being cynical? Being dog-like. Maybe you would always like being around your dog if you could just be cynical all the time. Because dogs are kind of cynical. Are they? Of course you disagree with me. Of course. Of course. But that's the whole thing. You can't say anything bad about a dog. Try to have a conversation in this country, you're saying something negative about a dog. It's always like, because the shelters run these ads that are like, love is, like a dog is unconditional love. It's 100% love. Because everybody thinks that animals only give love because that's what they share on TV. I don't know. I don't know that my dog loves me like he's excited to see me. Maybe he's just cynical. What if he's just cynical about things the way that I am? And then what is it like? People are always trying to trap you in these dog things where they're like, the dog is reflective of your mood. Like the dog will always reflect what you do. Like, do you know how strange that is to expect that out of, like, then you have to deal with that if that's true? No, who's living their life by that? This is a weird, like, pattern that you always have to listen to what the dog is doing. That doesn't make any sense. Like, people are always introducing these phrases that make it so, like, make it more difficult because they act like, people act like dogs are 100% love. That they're 100% love? Yeah. Good for dogs that they did that. I don't know. 100% love? There's no way. Well, their love is definitely conditional. I've never met a person who's as ungrateful as my dog, you know? Like, he's kind of cynical in a way, but love is so close to cynicism. But cynicism is a word for dog-like behavior. They're kind of like, but if you could be cynical, then you wouldn't care about all of that because you know how cynical a dog is, because a dog only wants attention, or at least my dog does. He only wants attention ever. All the time, every single second, and it's really annoying because you as a person, you're not used to that level of ungratefulness, and so like he doesn't love me all the time. He actually tries to annoy me and piss me off just to get my attention, but like, and so there's nothing. It's not like it's always this really positive thing, but everybody treats it like the dog is just the greatest. It's just like it's just something you have to deal with to some extent. But if you want to be cynical about it, but you have to arise to the level of cynicism to ever be able to appreciate it at all, though. You have to be that cynical where you're like, I don't love my dog. In some senses, I'm just trying to tell to you, cynicism and love. Like, cynicism is pure, and love is pure also. Like, cynicism that's why people don't like it, but it's always, you can't be cynical because cynical is bad. But I could be cynical in the respect of, like, no, being in a mood, why? I don't know about love and being in moods for love. I don't know necessarily. Oh, but you have to be in love or else you won't experience life's greatest joys. You have to be in love or you won't experience a joy. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know about that. Being love and joy. I just repeat the same phrase twice in a row. I don't know. Being love and joy at once. Consider yourself joyful. Be joyful. You have to be joyful. Obviously, duh. Obviously, you have to be joyful. Fucking duh. If you weren't joyful before, why aren't you now? There's people being joyful out there. Do you know about joy? Have you ever had it before? Put a smile on your face. I was at a Domino's once, and this woman who worked there, she was working there. She's a great worker. You know how you have to, like, build up a woman because that's the way that liberal political thought has taught you to speak about them? Like, oh, but I know she's a hard worker, and like you feel the need to say stuff like that because of this influence of this ideology. It's like, yeah, you have to build up that she's a hard worker. That doesn't make any sense. Like this YouTube category feed scrolled scrolled in front of me. It scrolled in front of my eyes, but it's just there's this YouTube category that's hashtag YouTube Black Voices. And so that every artist that is on there, they have to label them as black as the video is playing. Like, this is this artist and they are black. And it says this as a caption underneath every one of these videos. This artist is black. Like that doesn't bring race into the picture more than it needs to be in the picture. It says black under every video when they're a black artist. Yeah, but you're just drawing attention to it. I don't know. You draw attention to it. That's what they say, though. They're like, we draw attention to it. That's what they want to do. They want to draw attention to the color of their skin. So is that what you want? Do you want to accept that liberal ideology, or do you like that or not? I don't know. My opinion. Your opinion. Does your opinion matter on a solo podcast? Does your opinion matter? In terms of being likable, your opinion, who needs it? Who needs your opinion? People just want your, because the moods, people just want your emotional adaptation of your life. They just want something relatable. Like, people suck. Like, people are, but it has to be relatable. I mean, you have to go so far just to get in the right mood to be like, here we go. Here we go. This has got to be interesting. Like, people want it to be so far. But you go that far if you want to be more recognized. Like, I want to be more noticed, so I will rise to a deeper level of relatability. It's ridiculous. But if you're somebody who needs to stay relevant, if you're like, there's just got to be some amount of ego for you to, like, I am solo podcast man. Here I speak to you about 2 times 4 equals 18. Did you realize that? Actually, division sign over minus equals the multiplication sign. Were you aware? Did you know aware that square root of minus? Had you heard about that before? 6 divided by 3 is the division symbol. Life times pi equals 2 times the radius. The radius stands for river monster. River monster derives from the Latin term sanguine, meaning paradise. Paradise Lost was the first book written by Tom Milton. Tom Milton was a destroyer of worlds. Worlds became other Earths, where planets decided within the cosmos that the universe was determined through the star lineage. Placebo effect. That's the placebo effect. Dude, that's the placebo effect when you hear about when other people, because sometimes people don't know. That's what you hypothesize. That's why you hypothesize for, because you need a hypothesis. And that hypothesis has to be testable in the terms and limits of science. That's good. In my heart and mind, I want to be responsible for the destruction of science. That's what I want in my life. I want that to be attributed to me. I give birth to the destruction of science. The father of the destruction of science. That's what I want to be. I want to destroy it. I'm a destroyer of worlds. You don't have to go that very far to see very merry different worlds out here. There's very merry different people, very merry different plant life, very merry different tulips and daffodils. No, like, try to talk like Theo Von does. Do you ever watch Theo Von? Theo Von, what an interesting case study in a solo podcaster. I try to understand the same things that he does. What is it like to be solo? Because you have to deal with when you're not even good at doing it. You have to deal with when you're not even good. And then nobody cares. Like, people care, if they hear about it. It's just, no, people care if they hear about it. Things you got to do to defend yourself. No, my audience, stick around, guys. Like, man, it's just the things you do. Well, you got to be recognized. No, but you have to stay up. You have to stay at the high level. You have to be like, oh, I'm up here talking like so excited, so energetic, so enthusiastic the whole time. It's not like you always have enthusiasm. And so what do I do? Then, so the answer of the question is, what do you do when you don't have enthusiasm? And the answer to the question is, what do you do? And the answer to the question is, you just, you have to answer it to yourself. Because life gives you phraseology, and you have to burn it into epitaphs for you and your loved ones. There's no design beyond that which the epitaph has already decided for you. You are going to die. So you're going to die, and then love will befall you. What are you going to do when love hits? What are you going to do when the big one hits? Maybe it's love. Maybe it's a placebo effect. No, but like my dog, I love my dog because I feel responsible for my dog so much that it makes me horribly anxious. And so therefore I have to love my dog. But does he love me? I don't know. Who knows? Doesn't matter. I'm cynical. Maybe you have to be uncynical to accept a dog. Maybe that's it. You have to be not cynical to accept a dog. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah, you have to love them to accept a dog. Yeah, okay, yeah. You love a dog to accept it? No, I don't think so. I don't think you do. You don't love no dog to accept no dog? No, you don't love a dog. What if I'm just like, you don't love a dog to accept it? No, it's not about love. No, it has nothing to do with that. What if you're just not into that? No, it's not. Maybe you just accept the dog. I don't know. Does it involve like being in a mood? Like I don't know. But that's just a picture that you get from movies and TV. By watching Grey's Anatomy, everything about that love is romantic. It's all fadey, and that everybody runs into each other's personas all the time, so that there's just sex being had, and that whole hospital is a giant orgy. That whole hospital is a giant orgy because everybody's just like fading into each other's personalities with all the love, because the romance is just dripping all over every one of them. They're just swading through romance in that hospital like it's just thick molasses. There's just so much romance everywhere that nobody can move because they're thinking about the past. That could be a depiction of real life. Relationship hospital. I can't believe it. I can't believe the picture that TV gives me of these things, and I believe them. That it's like that's actual oh yeah, perfection, like weird. What a great scenario for you if you just wanted to do love, if you wanted to have an orgy. It's like a fantasy orgy for women a little bit, but but isn't it? But it's like, for if you're like, oh, I couldn't possibly see myself as having an orgy, but you wanted one, you just watched Grey's Anatomy. Like, probably. The Bachelor is, I mean, whatever. That's one thing. The Bachelor's one thing. But like The Bachelor, people make this analogy, I think, but it's like the sports for women, and then male sports, and then female. They have this. It's like the exact same thing for them, because they're like, it's a thing that they wait for every year, and then and so it's like football, and then football. Do you love watching football? Like, yeah, of course. Yeah, I love watching football. That's the thing. That's like love languages. Why don't you specify the category to ones that would be like, it's not like one of my love languages that first, like the first one I could name. Maybe the first one I name is that I love watching football. What if that's my love language? Yeah, like there's love languages. Sure, if you want to categorize love, then watching football is another category. That's a love. That's like watching football, because it's an impersonal love that I don't have to get involved with. It's just like a vague connection I have with millions of other people. So we're like, oh yeah, we're all unified behind this tribal thing where we're like, we like the thing because we all like the unity of it, because that's how we unify, because we like that love language, that unificate. You think that's not some sort of unification or human connection? That's not a version of love. Like obviously it is. Love, it's just a certain impersonal that you prefer. If you don't need personal love. because you're not into that. Maybe you're more imaginative, or like than the physical body. But sometimes you're just like, oh, I'm afraid of my body, and then you're like, no love for me. But there's all kinds of great love for you. You know how people just like, oh, my body, I can't deal with it. You know what's really cool? Is if I do a solo podcast, if I'm just like really laid back about it, and I didn't like, oh, give you factual information, and then I'm like, oh, I'm drinking a ginger beer, and I'm saying not a ginger ale, but a ginger beer, which is a ginger soda, but it's called a ginger beer. You know how you try to arrive at understanding that soda and you can't ever get there? You're like, you know what a ginger beer is. It's just like, where is that? Where does that fall? I am so confused. They call it beer, but also it's not ginger ale. These two facts are interwoven in the name. And so ginger beer, you're like, how is it? And it is a soda, but it's just a unique soda, kind of like a Dr. Pepper. And so if you're doing a solo podcast, you're like, but obviously, like, hey, no, I'm just saying, like, hey, I drink my ginger beer. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that a fun anecdote? Wow, what a fun story about what I thought about how I drink a soda. Oh, wow. Are you ready to take a shower after that? Like, was that fun? Was that nice to listen to? Like, my personal, like, do you get involved in what I think is cool? Do you like doing those? I don't know. I just can't get around them. It's just like superstitiously, you think you need to engage. You need to engage in the things that you're representing yourself with, as if you have to have some control over them. Like the things you wear, the music you play in your car. Like, why would you ever need to try to control a narrative about like the movie you're showing somebody? You're like, why do people do that? You don't even like yourself while you're doing it, and you don't even know why. You just see other people do it. You think that you're supposed to too. If you do that, if you comment on a thing like a movie, but it's just some people are like, oh, I'm just watching this movie, and they wouldn't. But some people analyze it. Wow, aren't there two sides to every story? God, I just like can't. I really could never stop criticizing myself for like the thing that I said. It's rejuvenating. It rejuvenates my lifestyle. It makes me feel alive. Because why would you want to be interested in the pattern that you're developing? Because when you can be the person that isn't a pattern, if you wanted to be, it's just difficult to maintain that. Don't take on the authority of that, because it's a responsibility, because then you have to maintain that. As long as you're superstitiously holding to it, that you're like, oh yeah, this is I have to be the thing. I have to be the thing. So like like I have to be superstitiously holding to it. Yeah, you know how you get there, and then, but like the love language of football, I don't see why not. It wouldn't be a love. What? There aren't that many loves that are that much better than that. Love. Whatever. Don't you get it? Don't you get that love is like something that I'm saying that it is? Don't you get that? Don't you get about love what it means? Don't you forget it, because everything is love, you know? Because food is love. Could you shut the fuck up? Food is love. Where does that get anybody? Does that advance society? Who benefits from that? Food is love? Why are you sharing that with the entire nation? You're sharing this thing. Doesn't matter. It's completely subjective. Food is love. Okay. Good. What does that have to do with either of those two things? Love or food? Food is love. Yeah, project that on a screen. Show it to everybody. Show that to every single person as much as possible. You're going to show it to everybody. It's going to be, I don't know, advertising. Advertising is love. Money is love. Money is love. Can't you make any equation at this point? Money is actually love. Let's see here. What else would you want to say? Good setup. It's just like a good setup for me. No, I'm trying to kill myself so I can get to a higher level of the energy, because I'm like, oh, that was stupid. You have to move on. I have to move on. I'm sorry. I don't want to be defeated anymore. I just would drink my ginger beer. No, why would you ever comment on like the thing you're doing in your life? That's what I'm saying. Why would I comment on a thing that I'm doing? Like, this is my car. I don't know. I don't know why people do that. I'm commenting. Comment on this is my car. No, but that's fine. It's like bragging. No, but like, what would be better? What would be better if I just shared the thing? Why do I always have to backtrack? Why do I have to backtrack and give a second opinion? No, but it's actually like this. Why? Why do I have to do that? No, but actually the other side. It's just you end up being a certain way. And so then you're in different moods. Sometimes you're afraid and sometimes you're sad. What, you think you can strike fear out of your life? I don't know. What if fear was just, because we kind of make it this big deal, like it's the opposite of love. Fear is the opposite of love. But love is everything, you know. Love is all the things around you. Love is coffee. Love is why? Why would love be that? Why is love water? Why is love, I don't know. What's so great about it? Well, it's just the feeling. I don't know. The feeling. Yeah, but like, oh, so you're just cynical. Maybe you're just heartbroken. What are you, just heartbroken? That's insanity. Are you just heartbroken? You know what? If you are, there's just heartbroken people in the world then. Then they're just in the world. It doesn't mean it's something you have to fix. Then you're heartbroken. Whatever. Like, if you're heartbroken, who gives a fuck? Like, okay, great. Just stay that way and then I don't know. Well, what's the deal with that? If you break a heart, you're dead. You can only do that once in real life. A broken heart, you can only do that once. I mean, if it's broken, you're saying it's not like a piece of it is being torn off. You're saying the heart is broken. It's an organ. If it's broken, then something really severe happened to it. Like, it got harpooned and sliced it exactly in two. Like, what are you saying? A broken heart? That doesn't even mesh with what the heart does. The heart is different from what can be broken. Explainably. Duh. The desire of one is not meant to be concealed within one, or within the palms of one's hands, like a broken heart. Well, you better not do that. Don't get your heart broken. I don't know. That rocks, I'd say. That's sexy. Get that heart broken, yo. I get turned on from someone who's heartbroken. Oh yeah, I like somebody who is not into it at all because their heart is broken. Oh yeah. I like somebody whose heart gets broken. Nice. I like to watch it break. There's girls that are like that. I just want to watch it break. Could be anything. A girl could be anything, so I just want to watch it break. They want to watch the heart break, you know. We want to watch it break. Let's watch this heart break. We just saw it and now it's broken. Just saw your heart. I opened it up. Ripped your heart out and it broke it. Your heart got broken by me. It was easy. Got your heart broken, did ya? Oh, courtesy of me. My friend Trish. We both didn't deserve you. fuck you and your family. I don't even remember what your dick was. I forgot that you even had one. What's your name again? Who the fuck are you? I already told everybody. I already said it. You know what would be really loving is if I didn't edit anything out and I just shared entirely from everything, because no secrets should be had. Love is no secrets can be had. No secrets with love. Total trust and honesty. Oh, overrated for sure. That is a construct created by television, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize for letting you in on that information. Share everything. Share everything that you have. Make sure. Don't keep any secrets away. Because that's what they'll tell you. They'll be like, they'll like, oh, it's total trust, honesty, complete trust. I can't do anything if I don't trust you. Oh, wow. Dual trust, huh? It's like thinking, it's like living your whole life saying that the dog mirrors what you do. Something you like, you just got to ignore what a dog does when it mirrors you. I don't know. I don't think you're introducing that phrase to let me in on that I should ignore it. If you're trying to make me aware of it, yeah, make me aware of something about this dog. Like, being aware makes you less anxious about having a dog. It's just, I just like to explore the possibilities. Cynicism is actually related to dog-like behavior. Love and cynicism. It's just that in this country, have a conversation about dogs. And the domestication of dogs, why isn't that one of those things that we're like, the killer whales are kept up in captivity? Like, if dogs had a seat at the UN, they're like, oh, they could speak to us. They had a seat at the UN. Do you think they think that they'd agree to keep living in captivity of humans? Like, that's what you're saying with this whale documentary with Blackfish. That's what you're saying. Eventually, no, you don't think of it like that because a dog is different. You're like, but why are you domesticating them? And the shelters, you buy and sell dogs as capital, because without them you wouldn't exist. It's a business for you, and your marketing power is that you pose as that you have no money. And sure, probably a lot of shelters don't have money. You pose as like the servants that everything, that like the roof is always falling in. These dogs are always being rained on, and it's just like this really humble effort to take care of these dogs. Like, what if there's probably a lot of dogs that just want to roam around in the wild. Why did we start domesticating dogs? What if you just let them run free? Like, why we keep dogs in captivity, but there's all these other animals who are like, oh, fuck that. Because we like dogs. We're like, oh, our possession. We like them, because we're like, dogs like to live with us. No, you just can't say cynical. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can't be cynical in a conversation about dogs. You can't be cynical. You have to love them, because 100% unconditional love. And then they run these ads on TV like dogs are only love, to just reinforce this unrealistic image of what you're supposed to have. Like this relationship where your dog loves you and it's just like he's excited to see you. It's not that, but it depends on how cynical you are, because I'm being cynical, but like it's difficult to get to a place where you could be like, I'm cynical, but it's just so much more enjoyable if you are at least a little bit, especially if that's what you already want to be, cynical. Like, but it's tampered down by that you have to adhere to love all the time. It's just whatever. If I was really loving, love is everything, I would share everything, because no secrets should ever be spoken, that should be unintelligible to you. All secrets shouldn't be undetermined to you. All secrets should be determined for all secrets should everyone know everyone. Get to know, let your romance fall over everybody. Like your romance, you always have to be in the mood. If you're always in the love mood, that you're like, oh yeah, you're always watching other people, you're always thinking and hoping and plotting, like thinking about them, over aggrandizing another person. And you're like, but it's a mood that you get into. You get in the mood of another person. Do you need to do that? Get in the mood of another person. That's the whole thing. Like get in the mood of another person. Get in the mood of another person. Get into the mood of another. Get inside the mood of them. They will experience your mood. They will know your mood. Get inside their mood. Get inside their mood so they can know you. Get inside their mood. Yeah. Get inside their mood, yeah, why? Peace.